him. So now I'd like to introduce Dr. James back to the stage, who will introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Jamila, and thank you all. I'm just going to take a minute. As far as Dr. Burkle's full body of work, just Google. You know, we don't have to stand up here and repeat. But if you don't know who Dr. Burkle is, you may be at the wrong meeting. And that's the impact the man has had. The reason this concept came up of having a yearly lecture in his honor was because no matter who I ran into out there, Dr. Burkle was my mentor. And that speaks everything. So I will leave it to the internet for you all to fill in the gaps. Now, I would like to introduce the person who's been selected as the first Burkle delivery. And it's going to be on the short side today because this was an add-on after the conference initial planning was done. Again, Dr. Blank, illustrious background. You can find out most of what he's done and his accomplishments on the internet. Suffice it to say, he was the 39th Surgeon General of the United States, and since then went on to be the president of North Texas University, and went on to found with Dr. Martin from Health Affairs days, a consulting firm which has been very successful and very active. His current position, he's the president of an organization called FAMER. We have spent the morning listening to people about breaking down silos. I spoke to Dr. Blank in the bathroom. That's where you meet people. And it was like deja vu all over again, both for him and for I. For 20 years, we've been saying we're going to come together. And maybe this time we'll make a little progress. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Blank. And the reason he's connected with Dr. Burkle is his current work, which is a footprint, a global footprint, which was very near and dear to the heart of Dr. Burkle. And this has to do with ECFMGs and an organization called FAMER, which I think we all need to learn about. With that, Dr. Blank.
Well, thank you very, very much. And I will tell you, it's truly an honor to be the first speaker for the Skip Burkle Distinguished Lecture. Skip is a colleague, a friend, a hero, as Jim said, a mentor, an inspiration to all of us, and brings together, it's amazing when you look at his bio, and I'll just stop after this, how he brings together disaster medicine, public health, pediatrics, emergency medicine, psychiatry, all of it together and so much more. So it is really an honor for me to be here. Well, with that, I'm going to talk about a couple of organizations that you may or may not be aware of, and talk a little bit about what I do in global health. And I hope this will tell you about a community you may or may not be very aware of, as well as suggest some possible collaborations in the future. Now, let's see. I tend to be technology challenged. How about that? So IntHealth is an organization you don't know about because it was just formed 6 months ago. And it has come together to bring ECFMG and FAMER together. These are organizations dealing with international medical graduates and global medical education and research. So I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but go to ECFMG and FAMER. You can see that we share values, we have been merged. We were separate organizations so that we could potentially collaborate and bring together all the elements of the global medical community, as well as the contributions that the international medical graduates make to our community. And during the COVID epidemic, I will tell you that a lot of the medical work done in ICUs and so forth were done by IMGs. And without them, we would be certainly less well off. So what's the Education Commission on Foreign Medical Graduates? Most of you have heard about that. It was formed in the 50s by the American Medical Association and a few other organizations to do prime source verification of credentials. Because before that, people could come on visas or what have you, get their residencies, train, and either stay here, go back to their countries. And it was felt that a more formalized system needed to be put into place. So the Education Commission on Foreign Medical Graduates was formed to do prime source verification, to administer an English test for those who were not native English speakers. Even those who are native English speakers must take the test. And we administer the state licensing examinations, the National Board of Medical Examiners, USMLE medical licensing exam. When international medical graduates go through all of this, they become ECFMG certified, and only those who are ECFMG certified may apply for residency in the United States. You will not be surprised, at least some of you won't be, to know that a little over 25% of the physicians practicing in the United States are international medical graduates. I was surprised to learn that in my specialty, internal medicine, 55% of residents in internal medicine are international medical graduates. So to say that we could not do without them is a correct statement. I would recommend that this is a community we need to reach out to. There's a variety of ways to do it. As Jim said, again, we don't want to be in silos. We want to reach out. This is a community that can add to what we do in this country. But let's not limit ourselves to this country. ECFMG in 1920 said, you know, we're doing very well, but what are we giving back? What are we doing for the rest of the global community in terms of medical education, in terms of research, in terms of all the kinds of things that we hope we're about? And so FAMER was born, a separate foundation. FAMER stands for the Foundation for the Advancement of International Medical Education and Research. Took me 2 days to memorize that. Finally did, so now I can say it. It is no longer a foundation because, as was shown in the first 2 slides, InThealth has taken FAMER under its wing, and it's now one of the 2 operating arms of InThealth, ECFMG being one, FAMER being the other. So we collaborate on research, which we do on health workforce, workforce migration, all sorts of things that I'll point out to you as I describe FAMER. So it was formed in 2000 by ECFMG. There's something on the screen, so I can't read this here, so I keep looking up, forgive me. Advances professional education worldwide, and I'll tell you about that. Analyzes needs and contributions of IMGs, provides a lot of information in directories. We, for example, do the World Directory on Medical Schools in collaboration with the World Federation of Medical Education. We have 4 focal areas, as you see here. FAMER Global, which I'll talk about, has institutes in 10 countries plus 1 in Philadelphia, has international medical graduate support, World Resources, that's the directories, and then the research I've briefly talked about. So let's talk about FAMER Global first. This is our biggest organizational entity. And you can see the institutes we have in Indonesia, China, India, Egypt, Uganda, and Chile, plus our institute in Philadelphia. We have trained over 2,000 FAMER fellows in faculty development. So what's faculty development? It's competency-based curriculum development, it's leadership, it's project management, it's research tools. It's all the kinds of things that a physician, a nurse, a social worker, anybody that's involved in medical education might need to provide that. And obviously, we do it worldwide. We are considering opening it up to a few faculty from the United States. So far, we have not done that. We limit it to faculty from, typically, we try to focus on less developed countries or areas, and this seems to have been very popular. We have, I cannot tell you how many applications for another FAMER Institute. So we are expanding, and we hope to get to as many as 20, but that's going to take about 5 or 10 years to get there. This is the FAMER International Graduate Support Activity, FIGS. And what we do here is try to bring to bear things that will assist international medical graduates coming into this country. The most exciting thing, and this is a new feature that we're putting out, is we have developed a module for an introduction to the electronic medical record in the United States. We give it to IMGs who have been accepted to residency free of charge. This is just support that we do for them. I have taken it, and yes, this will be a surprise to some, I have managed to get through it. It took me 3 hours. It usually takes people 2. But this is a very sophisticated tool with videos of how to use it, with all sorts of assists in it. We also, in the introduction, discuss things that many of the international graduates aren't aware of, such as HIPAA, privacy, and those kinds of things that we want to make sure they're aware of. And this was done, by the way, at the request of program directors in the United States. Excuse me, I'm a little hoarse here. We have found this to be very popular. We piloted it this past academic year, and next year we will give it to all of the international medical graduates who are coming into residency. By the way, that number is somewhere around 8,000 per year. And for those applying to residency, it's about 9,000, because 80% of those applying for residency match, compared to about 94% for USMD grads, 92% for USDO grads. So it's a very, very good representation, and most of those, even those not matched, eventually do get their residency in the United States. They may have to try a couple of times, but they do it. And there is some criticism, or at least concern, that, well, IMGs are taking residency positions away from US grads. No, they're not. Yeah, maybe in a specific specialty they might be, but the point is we still have more residency positions in the United States than we have total graduates, MD, DO, IMGs. So you may have to skew your residency choice. You may not get into orthopedics, but you can get a residency, and eventually virtually everybody does. Multiple choice quiz based on physical exam of patient. Can you imagine, this is MCQ, can you imagine doing a physical exam online? I couldn't, but in fact, oh, thank you very much. In fact, the person heading this has developed it. I took it and I did okay. I won't say I was superb, but how do you do it online? You have pictures, you have videos, you have auscultation, you have sounds. So you can do just about everything except palpation. And one of these days we'll figure that out as well. What we're doing with this are allowing IMGs to take it as an extra credential so that they can demonstrate competency in this area. Program directors have expressed some interest in using it as a way to assess trainees in their program as well. And then finally, we're comparing the pathways exam. Most of you know that we had simulated patients, actors, and we did a real-time patient examination test for both US graduates as well as IMGs. That was stopped during COVID. So we developed other methodologies for assessing competency in history taking, physical examination, and we're looking at whether it really measures what we hope it will. Now we come to the directories, and first of all is the World Directory of Medical School. Anybody can subscribe to this. It's actually free, so you don't have to subscribe. You can get it. Well, you do have to subscribe. We need to know who you are and where you are, but you can get this. And it is an up-to-the-date listing of every medical school in the world. This is a daunting task because there's probably 100 to 150 new medical schools every year. It seems like every week, but it's only every year. And then there's some number that fail and go away, but we do this. Then we also have DORA, which is the Directory of Organizations that recognize and accredit medical schools, because we're very interested in accreditation. And that, again, is available to you. We work with the World Federation of Medical Education. And lastly is GGPEP, which I contend is the coolest acronym ever. GGPEP stands for the Global Guide to Physician Education and Practice. And it's a description of the health education system in every country of the world. We've done 51 countries so far, including India, which took about half the time because it's huge. But this is something that we'll get up probably to 120, 130. Some of the smaller schools we won't deal with. And it's going to be a resource for regulators, for anybody interested in medical education on a global sense. And this is a very, very cool thing that we're doing. And finally, the research. I'm not going to go into it in great detail, simply to say that we look at healthcare workforce, regulatory scope, assessment tools. We publish articles on this everywhere. And it's something that, as we talked about research this morning, it occurred to me, this is an area ripe for collaboration because in our faculty development, we really emphasize public health. We really emphasize a lot of the things that we're all about here, and the research we do has to do with that too, in Africa, in China, in Indonesia, and India, and so forth and so on. So with that, I will end my all too brief talk. Jimmy said I can't talk more than I already have, and say thank you very, very much. I appreciate your attendance. Take care.